Rex had struck out into the world as something resembling a free man, and a rich man too. His hired platoon of soldiers struggled to get their paymaster into Gaul on account of rampant piracy and shattered Roman legions. Parts of those old legions found their way into Rex's service, but they could never set foot on Italian soil again. In the Romano-Gallic town of Andimatinum, Rex searched for a way to get his whole company past the border posts unchallenged. He found it out in the rainy fields, where he encountered the town guildmaster tilling soil on his own. He was as unfazed by the approach of the heavily armed foreigners Rex and Bagadatta as he was by the water streaming down his chest from the tip of his waterlogged beard. He may have refused to go anywhere drier as they spoke, but at least Rex confirmed that this man really was in charge of the tribute caravans that took gold and tithes to Rome. Rex explained that he wanted to help guard the shipment, along with some 50 men who wished to remain anonymous. When the guildmaster stopped laughing, negotiations could begin. Now then. You say that in these troubled times, with talk of raiders from far-off lands roaming the country in search of plunder, I should entrust the shipment of gold to Rome to a strangely rich Celt and a smirking, one-eyed Persian wearing clothes too ill-fitting to have not been stolen. You fool! Bagadatta was quick to interject. Have you not heard of Bagadatta of Frisia? Heard of Frisia? I have slain countless pirates in my lifelong quest, not just for justice, but for revenge. All waited for Bagadatta to cease his heroic pose, and then Rex decided to explain their own battle with the pirates. While he didn't mention that his troop was Roman, the guildmaster seemed to work it out. I have an idea. The tribute has been delayed by a certain flock of vultures who've caught wind of its presence here. If you really are mercenaries, then in exchange for the labor of killing them, I will allow you to travel with us. Feels like those bandits are more likely to go after the gold than you, and let me tell you, I am well known for my good judgment. With that, Rex agreed and left the man to try and fight his way out of the soaking mud he had been sinking into during their exchange. Welcome back to Rex Romanum. We're currently in northern Gaul, and I've taken on one of these quests where you just have to hunt down a bandit party and kill them. These range from being extremely easy to extremely hard, not at all because of the fighting, just because you don't get given much information to go on as for actually finding them, and they can just walk off to the other side of the map as soon as the quest starts and you'll never see them again. At least while looking around, we can detect and take down a few of the weaker Sea Raider parties, basically bandits themselves. By killing them, we'll gain more experience, more money, and just more everything we need to make the game easier as we go forwards. Here I led the enemy's horsemen over to our Roman shield wall. They actually got right through it, or around the edge of it ever so slightly. It wasn't the best execution of the strategy here. However, once the enemy were bogged down, they were easily killed. We had it easier than normal actually for this fight, because for some reason the enemy split their force. Some of their troops dismounted at the start of the battle and were hanging around in their deployment zone, so I had to go take them out. I'm doing this on foot because charging them while they're waiting around the horses is quite hard, because the horses provide cover and stop my own horse from moving. Luckily, it doesn't have much impact on the fight. There we go. We took one casualty in the fight, but we rescued so many prisoners that I can restore that exact same troop actually, and much more, making our party even stronger, but still no closer to finding the bandits we're actually looking for. I tracked another weak-looking band over to Britannia, where we took part in another fight alongside the Romans. Hopefully they won't ask too many questions about where my little Roman army came from. This battle started with a dodgy charge where Rex zigged and zagged his way through the enemy's lances and was able to take down a couple of enemies. Then, in cavalry combat, the rest of the enemy army's gone to fight the Romans, and I'm sure they'll be able to win on their own. I travelled back to town now, but on the way something strange happened. It says that I was ambushed by these 9 guys, so it seems the mod has a new type of battle for us. Since we have an overwhelming advantage, not sure what difference the ambush will make for the enemy, but they've decided to try it. I guess it just means we deploy in front of each other and the fighting starts right away. Since they're on horseback, this actually slightly benefits us. They can't really charge us. It just quickly boils down to a meaty grind, and soon we're able to win because we have troops all over the place. Rex actually takes a blow from behind during that fight and nearly gets wounded. I was bleeding though, so while the fight continued on for a bit and we won, I actually fell off the horse just as the fight finished. Didn't receive any wounds though, so that's all good. Took a couple of casualties, but again we can use the prisoners captured or the slaves rescued to restore our losses. And now I just needed to get into town to sell things off before the next round of searching for our targets. But this didn't go very well either. We were ambushed again. This time it's just Rex and a few guys coming out of a little alcove. Rex was on the verge of death already due to the events of the previous battle, and we started without a weapon drawn, so it did not go very well. The only upside is that Rex apparently wasn't carrying most of his money, so when they robbed us we didn't lose very much, and we ultimately get away with that. We clearly need to rest and recuperate a little bit in town and come up with a new plan before we move on. Rex sat in the tavern, wincing with each stroke of the needle in the healer's frail hands, and again whenever Bagadetta tried to apply a slimy, cold moss to the wound on his stomach. The only relief was a bard's squeaky recital of the Aeneid, to which only Bagadetta was really listening. When the tale was done, he commented, "Ah yes, the hypnotic allure of the hero. He needs only leave sight and his lover takes her own life in grief. I understand it well, as you know." "Not sure that's what happened," Rex managed to say. The healer shook his head. "I'm not talking about the poem, I'm talking about what really happened, and happens in every town, in fact. Here is safe, though. I sent word that I would be in town, so the girls know not to let themselves near me." "You stink out of selflessness, then." "That is only the beginning. Going above and beyond is the habit of a hero. I want to pass something of this on to you, Rex. Heroes don't wash. Got it." "Your brush with death leaves you rather prickly. I understand, of course. I've brushed with death..."
Bagadetta, did you want to say something useful? I think I'd rather not hear a story tonight.
"You jump right to the meat of things, which, funnily enough, is what I would ask of you now, Master. Think of how a hero would conduct this business hunting bandits. Would he return with the job done? No, never. He would return ensuring the job was done for all eternity. You wanted to speak with the pirate leaders. I say we are ready to face their Black Legion with our Red One, and win not only that audience, but twice the admiration that a mere headhunt will bring. Yes, there is nothing to be won by the chance not taken. Let the bards ready their mouths for a new epic as we march out to avenge the fallen and partake of great riches in the land of Frisia, my true homeland. Strike out, Master, and see the legend..."
Yes, we're going to. Tomorrow, maybe. Good night, please."
Bagadetta thankfully left Rex to be patched up in peace. The healer was soon paid and bid farewell, but he seemed hesitant to leave. Rex asked what was wrong, but there was no answer. The healer decided that knowledge of the tattoo he had spied under Rex's bracer was worth far more if it was not exposed to eavesdroppers. We never did find the bandits I was looking for, but I did find the bandit camp. This is the place that's spawning all of those parties of sea raiders, so if we can take the camp down, we're going to have a lot less trouble just moving about in general. Before I attacked it, I decided to attack this small band of sea raiders nearby, just to pick up another win for experience and money's sake. Had a close call here when I got caught with a bunch of the enemies behind me, but loads of javelins and arrows came in, distracting them and killing them. The survivors tried to attack my troops, but weren't able to achieve anything, and soon we win the battle. The real event here wasn't the battle itself, it was the aftermath. I automatically clicked on the thing that takes 3 hours, where you loot the corpses and burn the dead. But as you may have noticed, I was actually surrounded by other parties of bandits just before that fight started, and I wasn't thinking about that. So, like 2 frames later, we're attacked by 100 bandits. Interestingly, since we were technically encamped while we were attacked, we get this special encampment map, although I don't think this really does us any favours, since it's just a huge mess. Our formation starts all spread out, and I quickly draw everyone together just in time to get cavalry charged. There was a little fence on the outside of the camp that split up the enemy's charge a bit. So at first it's just a few enemies and we're able to take them down, but the number of enemies attacking is going to be rising by the second. It then says camp overrun. Apparently some of these guys are stealing our fish and our bread. That's a shame, but the real trouble is that they're also going to be killing all of us. I've stolen one of their horses to get some maneuverability, but that doesn't necessarily help. You can see they've just blasted what formation we had apart and are now all over the camp. Many of our troops will just be attacked from multiple sides and won't be able to hold the enemy off, even with their heavy armour and big shields. And I even think one of the legionaries here is actually on the enemy side. I don't know if I noticed during the fight, but one of them seems to be trying to attack me, so clearly they've captured someone and convinced them to join them. Anyway, we're quickly just stuck on the ground, surrounded by enemies. I'm slashing about wildly, but I keep taking damage here and there. Eventually it looks like I get run over by a horse or something, and I am down on the floor. The battle is over. We are technically able to retreat in some way, but we'll see this doesn't amount to much. The entire party was either killed or wounded. We did kill half of the attacking party, so they've got a few wounds to show for their raid, but still, in terms of our story, this is rather disastrous. It means that everyone who's still alive has been taken prisoner by the raiders, and they're now going to drag us around the place. They take loads of our money and a little bit of our food, and eventually they drag us back to approximately where we were already before we escape. But in terms of who escaped, it's just me and Baghdata, so the whole party is lost, and most of them I think are actually dead at this point. We are in big trouble. Luckily, Mountain Blade is very kind when it comes to what happens to you after being captured. We've still got most of our stuff, even stuff looted from other raiders. We've got our horses and food and everything, so we can still build a new party if we can get back to safety. I was going to go back towards Britannia, but on the way I encountered 4 enemies carrying some prisoners with them, and I thought we can probably beat these guys. However, they ended up ambushing me apparently, so suddenly we are charged in this gully. There's only one enemy visible at first, this horse archer who runs Baghdata over, but otherwise is not particularly formidable. Another guy later appears and tries to stab at Baghdata. Baghdata's just sitting in the corner, not really contributing very much. Rex is able to take this fresh enemy down. I was left just looking around because we're supposed to be fighting 4 guys. I couldn't see them. I eventually found someone further away from the gully, hanging out, perhaps waiting for me to come to bow range or something, but I was able to beat him in a duel on horseback, and that actually brought an end to the fight, so Baghdata must have taken someone down while I was searching around. So we've won the battle, but that's not much consolation since we've lost the entire party, and while we haven't been sent back all the way to square one, we've been sent back towards it with not much to show for it. When all was quiet, Rex searched the gully and found Baghdata nursing a blotchy leg. "You're okay?" "Gonna need to be carried, I think." "I think they're all dead." "Us? Or them?" "Both, by Nectona's curses. Didn't see anyone else get out." "Well, at least it was only, Romans." "It wasn't only Romans. Those were my men." "Right, my apologies. They served us well." "Someone needs to bury them and inform their families. Come on, we're going back to Britannia." The pair of survivors travelled to Londinium, where Rex was granted audience with a high-ranking Roman officer by the claim that he had important news about his legion. Legatus Marcellus listened to Rex explain the whole thing, ending with a roughly drawn map of where his doomed camp was located. The legatus was more interested in another detail included alongside it, the location of the pirate base. "You are sure this is it?" the officer asked. "Yeah, I think they took offence to us looking around, and I told you how it went. Let rest the question of what you were doing with my legionaries. What were you doing at that raider encampment? Playing hero, Rex answered, gritting his teeth to bear another aching twitch of his swollen eye. Marcellus inspected Rex's ripped chainmail vest, blood-stained barbarian trousers, and ill-fitting Roman helmet. Then he stood from behind his desk. Are you done? Sorry, sir? Playing hero. I'm not sure whether I should have you showered with gold or executed after all you've told me. Let's decide one way or another with a test, shall we? Once we get you looking more presentable, that is. What was your name again? The next day, Rex, Bagadetta, and a train of horses rode out from Londinium. Rex now wore a thick Roman-made chainmail cuirass over an Italian-style tunic. Alongside his plumed helmet, he was starting to look like a proper Roman auxiliary. Fitting, for he already spoke like one, and had been promised gold and favours if he could destroy the coastal landing used by the raiders. It was more work than 2 men and 10 horses could achieve, so Rex first rode north, back to the warmth, metaphorically speaking, of Bonatia. Many remembered him, and he received a loud cheer as he entered the tavern. He was praised countless times for stealing such a fine piece of Roman armour. Amid such cheers, it was hard to think of a way to start asking for volunteers to do a favour for a Roman general. Late in the evening he managed to make it to the far end of the tavern, where he at last encountered someone who hadn't the faintest idea who he was. The feeling was mutual. This man was dressed in a sophisticated yet utterly foreign-looking set of armour. Still, he spoke Latin with a refined Roman accent, straight from Italy. Yes, terrible business all this. Lord Fair invited me up to commission some fortifications. He knows his stuff, that chap. Got all the books worth having tucked away. I think the other barbarians aren't fond of bettering yourself in such ways, you see. Anyway, his more brutish friends saw the invasion of Roman land, and now he isn't interested in defences at all going quite the other way, if you understand me. So here I am. Isn't that right, Ali? The battle-scarred German sitting beside the well-spoken Greek grunted. Oliver, my bodyguard, the Greek said, before introducing himself as the supposedly famous engineer Agesiocles of Boeotia. May I ask you a technical question, then? Rex asked. Oliver immediately produced a tablet with numbers etched into it. Prizes are here. Far away, my friend. Right. So, if you know how to build structures, you know how to unbuild them, surely? Yes, that's one. Would it be possible for you to sabotage some sea landings so that they collapsed? Yes, that's 2. Next one's half price, remember? Well, will you travel with me, then? I've got a job for you. Oh, a commission! The questions are gratis, then. I accept, on the condition that we leave this miserable hut at once. Deconstruction, eh? Could be a fruitful new market, actually. On the way back down Britannia, I gathered a new party. Nothing special, mostly just recruits that are sometimes the next level due to our training skill. It doesn't need to be all that powerful though, because we just need a small team to attack the bandit base. We want to ideally avoid fighting the bandits themselves now. I waited until morning so I could cross with extra visibility to make sure I didn't run into any surprises, but this does work both ways. It means they can see me crossing, and there were loads of bandits all around the camp who immediately swarmed me, so this didn't go very well. I start going back towards Britannia, and a few of them follow me. Luckily, it's not that many, some depleted parties here. Once I get back to land, I actually have the chance to walk past them because they walk off to the east. I'm not sure if I intended it or not here, but I end up fighting them. So here we go. It's our 23 versus their 18. My main priority is to cause a distraction, because if their big load of cavalry charges our very light line, they might all just get taken out right away. So by having Rex ride around not doing particularly much, it just distracts the enemy, breaks their formation up, and gives our guys a bit more of a fighting chance. Once the fighting breaks out, we do the usual poking at distracted enemies. We're being slightly aided by the fact that some of the enemy guys just ran around the outside of our formation, perhaps planning to do some horse archery. Not all of them attacked at once, which gave us a bit of breathing room, and as we see, we eventually killed them all without actually being overrun. It went better than I thought it would after so many recent defeats. Perhaps I was just a little bit paranoid about how things would go. We did take casualties, but our party's still intact. We're still able to fight, and we still have enough people to go and raid the bandit base. We'll take on a couple of rescued slaves to enhance our numbers there. Next, I tried an alternative strategy, the opposite to my previous strategy. I waited until nightfall before I advanced on the camp. We saw some bandits ran past us while we were camped there, off chasing someone else, so that'll make things easier. The night makes it hard to see, so it means I'm less likely to be suddenly swarmed by loads of parties at once. But there is still one party near the camp that I'll need to get past. It moves ever so slightly to the south, giving me a tiny gap through which I can sneak and get to the bandit camp before it attacks us. So the attack is on. We move in with a small team, our heroes and a couple of soldiers from the party, to see what we can do. The quote-unquote camp is a beach with a load of ships and caves on it, so we just need to work our way through all of the groups of enemies waiting around. We can see some of the enemies already, but they don't really react to us arriving. When I get down to the beach, someone comes over to investigate, but he's running towards my party rather than me, so he doesn't last very long. Now I move over to the left and stand up on some rocks. This attracts the attention of the two enemies standing over by that ship. I do a bit of a bad job actually fighting them here. Luckily my party comes in on the flank and does the work. There we go. Once that's done, there's one more enemy who spawns right in front of us, coming out of the ship, I suppose. We take him one-on-one. Luckily, he's not very good. We've now got this end of the beach locked down, but there are more groups of enemies at the other end, so we'll start making our way over there. As I get close, a whole group of them starts charging at us, and now we've got a real fight. The first guy goes down immediately. That's a great start. The next guy is very aggressive, but we're able to hold off his attacks and take him down. This guy tries to sneak up the cliffside, getting out of the range of our weapon actually, but he comes back down and is then defeated in a short exchange. Now we need to go over to our left where there's another ship and a whole load more enemies. We take a hit there, our health's now below half, but we're still holding on. We do have the blood loss thing now, so we need to close this down quickly if we can. We hack through those foes, a couple more appear from around the corner, and they are easily hacked down as well, thanks to our party providing distractions and Rex doing the damage. As you might know, in these bandit assault missions, the amount of enemies that are there at the beginning are just a sample of what you have to fight. I think you actually have to kill a number of enemies equal to your level in order to complete these little missions. So more enemies just appear from around the place. Now I've run all the way up to the other end of the beach again, where an archer was attacking me. We managed to block his attacks with our shield and dodge some of them, and then we cut down his friend to finally defeat the bandits. Capturing this layer gives us access to its inventory, lots of great stuff to steal, so we can use that to make some money off this whole venture, and we'll take that food along since it'll enhance our morale. The real prize though will be the fact that we've done a favour for a high-ranking Roman official and reduced the number of bandits who are going to be blocking access to Roman territory. Those things combined should allow our journey to press forwards now. I still have to dodge around that last party of bandits. While I manage that okay, in the process we see the bandit camp appears again, so I don't know how permanently we've actually removed the bandits from our route. We'll have to find out. We'll go back to Londinium and sort out a bit of a Roman escort for ourselves, which we'll see next time. In an attempt to impress his former masters, Rex had paid scores of men to follow him to their deaths. That he himself was still alive after the massacres he had fallen into was only by virtue of their sacrifice, of which he was very well aware. His view of the Romans was changing, especially with them seeming to provide the only reasonable chance of getting to Regni. His eventual success at the Frisian camp bought him a favour from the Roman legatus, if such a man could be trusted, and indeed if such a man could trust the increasingly famous Little King. So that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and a special thanks to all the OfficiallyDevin patrons. We'll get the chance to take a trip to Massalia, but that's not actually where we're going to end up in the next part of Rex Romanum.